As a brand management for Coors, we are comparing the demographic profiles of gender, education, age, income, and marital status. First, we will look at the top segments that are more willing to purchase the product, and then the segments that are less likely to purchase the products. The information above shows that men and women are different when it comes to the willingness to purchase Coors. The data shows that men are 47% more willing to consume the beverage, while women are 44% less willing. When looking at education, the segment that are more willing to consume the product are people who has attended college, which are 25% more likely to purchase the product as compared to the people who did not graduate high school, which are 31% less likely. If the spread is small, it represents that the difference from the max and the minimum are not too far apart, and that when marketing to the variable, we wouldn't have to put too much effort into targeting a certain market because of the segments would all still contribute to a good amount of sales for the product. On the other hand, if a spread is large, then there is a significant difference among the minimum and maximum index, which would make the purchasing habit more one-sided on a certain segment that provides a big portion of business. Now, talking about the age index for brands, and looking at the age segment of 18 to 24-year-olds, we see that Coors is the most preferred brand by a willingness of 40%, while the other two brands are 35 or less willing to buy the product. When looking at the age segment of 25 to 34, Coors drops to 25%, while the other two brands increase. Corona increases to up to 63%, while Heineken increases to 41%, which indicates from the age range of 18 to 34, as age increases, Coors becomes less popular, and the other true brands, specifically Corona, becomes more popular. But as we see, as age increases from the age 35 all the way to 65 plus, the preference for beer, or willingness for purchasing beer, decreases. The marketing plan rather, in order to target our market would be in the age between 18 to 30-year-olds. Now looking at the income index for brands, we can tell from left to right that the higher the income, the more preference of each brand. The more money, the more preference of beer. And the less money, the less willingness for beer. But because Coors has a 21% of unwillingness to purchase, the percentile is still not as high as the percentages of Corona and Heineken. This means that there are more people willing to purchase the Coors brand, more so than there are others in the income segment of 20,000 or less. Next, we have our compared spread by segments. Here we can see that gender has a significant amount of spread, indicates that men are most likely to enjoy Coors rather than women. And when we look at marital status, we see that 54 on spread is between never married and widowed, divorced, and separated, which means that there isn't a significant amount to the preference of wanting to buy Coors or not. So the never married and widowed, divorced, and separated would most likely still have the same purchasing power as each other. And for Heineken, education seems to have a small spread, which has the segments of graduated college plus and no college at all. This is pretty obvious to us college students, which we will drink beer no matter what. And looking at the household income, we see a larger spread.
After going into the spread, we will be talking about the percent down. As you can see from the chart, we have all five. We will just go into the top three percent downs. Gender percent down is 71% for Coors drinkers are men. And then as we start going into the marital status, you will see that 51.8% of Coors drinkers are married. Now going into educational status, we will see that 41.3% of Coors drinkers are those who did not attend college.
This chart above shows the percentages of the projected users within each segment. From the line chart, we can see that up until now, Corona still holds the spot of being the biggest competitor for Coors. Although Heineken is a competitor as well, Corona has held its success with the male consumers. As it would be assumed, alcohol consumption is greater at younger ages because of all the new people turning 21 years old, 25 to 34-year-olds. We see that the foreign brands experience an increase in consumers, Corona with a 10.8 and Heineken with a 7.1. Because by then it is assumed that you're at the age where you're financially stable and have a career, so going out to have a drink after work or on the weekends is normal. Aside from that, you will have the income to give yourself a chance to opt out for the foreign beer, which would be Corona or Heineken, than when you were younger and you'd go for the cheap stuff, in this case Coors.
As we determined earlier, our main users tend to be young males that are not married. As you can see in the figure, men have an index of 147 and are 47% more likely to drink Coors than the general population. To build on that, the age groups between 25 and 34 make up 22% of Coors drinkers and are 25% more likely to drink Coors compared to the general population. Looking at our last demographic of marital status, we can conclude that our biggest target market is those who have never been married, making up 34% of Coors drinkers. This section has a 27% likelihood above the general population to drink Coors. These highlights in the demographic makeup of users seem to be universal across the board in our comparison. Both Corona and Heineken have a high percentage down and high usage index of 29%, 163, and 25%, 141, respectively, for the 25 to 34 age group. Meaning 29% and 25% make up the drinkers of Corona and Heineken, and 63% and 41% more likely to drink these beers than the general public. For the marital status, 39% of Corona drinkers have never been married compared to 36% make up for the Heineken drinkers. For Corona in this section, they have a 47% likelihood to drink Corona over the general population, and Heineken maintains a 37% likelihood. Mass marketing is marketing to the entire crowd while not taking into account of the different segments within the market. For our mass marketing strategy, we propose to mass market to our highest portion of users, men 25 to 34 years old, and those who have never been married. These demographics, as you can see from the figure above, are heavily saturated with other beer companies. By mass marketing to these segments, we can maintain our presence and increase brand awareness. Niche marketing, unlike mass marketing, focuses on specific segments within the market. When looking at the data, you are focusing on segments that have a high index rate and a moderate percent down. This shows that the segment, although has a high likelihood of drinking Coors than the general population, currently does not contribute to a tremendous amount of the consumers. This highlights potential growth in sales if the company could tap into the niche within the market. As you can see in the figure, the age range of 18 to 24, although has a 40% likelihood of drinking Coors over the general public, still only contributes to 17% of the drinkers. The fact that almost half of this range group cannot legally drink may play into the fact that the actual usage is low in comparison to the likelihood of consumption. The niche market of engaged people also have a high potential growth. With 18% likelihood they will drink Coors over the public, this segment is only contributing to not even 6% of users. This segment would be the next step our main market drinkers usually take in life. By niche marketing into this segment, we can follow our users into the next steps of their lives and increase longevity of the brand.